Hello everyone, what's up guys? It's Insane Game Freak here. So, I was watching a video by, I believe her YouTube channel was Mandy Plays. I'll leave a link to it in the description. And it was about game difficulty. Now, as you guys know, I've already talked about game difficulty. But, there was something she said in her video that kind of triggered a different thought in me. And that was, she was using Cuphead as an example as one of those games that doesn't do difficulty well. And one of the things she goes is that, well, it's not like Cuphead doesn't have an easy mode. Cuphead has an easy mode, but it doesn't really help. Like, I think that it was along those lines that Cuphead has an easy mode, but it doesn't help. And I started thinking about the nature of easy modes, right? Now, I'm the kind of guy of the opinion that I don't think an easy mode needs to be in every game, but it's not a terrible thing to have it. But then the question becomes, well, how do you do an easy mode the right way? Like, she used, for example, Cuphead's as a bad way of doing an easy mode, and I started thinking about it. And the thing is that easy modes, for things that people don't realize, the easy modes take, I would almost argue, just not the same amount of thought, but it takes a good amount of planning and thought into them to the same extent like the main game does, because they have to be designed in a certain way to work. It also depends on the kind of game. So let's continue with the Cuphead example to kind of just illustrate my point. So I believe Cuphead's easy mode, really all it does is just take a phase out of the boss fights. Like, you don't have to deal with the entire string of phases. You lose a particular phase when you play in easy mode. But then I started thinking, but is that really easy? Because, I mean, her point is true that it's not really a good easy mode, because all you really did, because you still had to be good at the dodging, good at parrying, good at platforming depending on the boss, and you still have to hit them. You still have to shoot. I think that just shaves a little bit of time. I don't know, and I don't even know if the health bar decreases. Like, if the bosses are quicker to beat in easy mode, or if it's literally you just took an animation phase out. I would think that it would take a small chunk, take that phase's health out and make the boss quicker to kill. But if someone's biggest problem with Cuphead is that they can't really play the platforming, then the platforming or the run and gun, then it's like taking a phase out doesn't really fix the problem, because if you're bad at the core of the game, then you're going to be bad at the core of the game. So what the fuck difference does it make? So with that being said, I started thinking, okay, so what could you do to Cuphead and it would work? I'm gonna also crossbreed some Mario 3D World comparisons in here too. But like, okay, well let's try what Mario 3D World did, which is turn pretty much make your character invincible. Essentially that's what it was. Well, to me that kind of kills the point of playing the game. Like, and that's the thing, like, a lot of people would say the reason why easy modes exist and the only goal of an easy mode is to get someone who isn't as good as the game, good at that kind of game or just games in general, to play the game and get indoctrinated into that gameplay style and maybe become a fan of that game or the genre of game it is. But for me, I also thought that I think that they want the person to become so interested in the game that they play it on normal. Like, I think the goal of anybody who puts in an easy mode is to get the player to eventually to play on normal. Because if you don't, essentially all you've done is just, eventually what's going to happen is that the bar of interest is going to be centered around easy more than normal, and normal will become hard and easy will become normal. And you've essentially just casualized your own audience by doing so. I think the goal, for at least from my opinion, I think the goal of a developer when they make an easy mode is to get people so interested that they want to play normal. Which to me means that in design philosophy, you have to make it feel like you're being punished for playing easy mode to get you interested in playing in normal. I think a good example of this in certain games is taking out certain cutscene stories. That I can't enjoy certain aspects of the story because I haven't beat the boss the way they're supposed to be beaten in terms of the story. Like, let's say, I think in certain games, if you hit a boss with a particular move, it triggers a cutscene that leads into like a new, maybe a different path in the story or some shit. Well, even if you're not good at the game, you wouldn't be able to do those combos anyway. So that's your punishment. You're playing on easy mode, you get the ability to watch those cutscenes. But is that really a punishment? Because think about it, I can just go look that shit up on YouTube. And going back to the invincibility thing, if I made Cuphead invincible like they did in Mario 3D World, well, Mario 3D World is way more focused on vertical and like horizontal platforming than Cuphead is. Cuphead has it in its game, and some of the bosses take advantage of it. But like most of the bosses, you're either in a plane or you're on a flat, solid area. So being invincible literally makes the game just a wait. You're just waiting until the boss dies. You're just shooting, waiting for it to jump to the next phase because nothing can hurt you, remember? So you're just sitting there shooting, pressing the button or holding it down, waiting for the boss to die. That, to me, takes the fun out of the game. It's kind of like, to use for example, it's like when you're first practicing baseball. You're practicing hitting a ball with the baseball bat, right? You got two ways. Either your dad or your mom or whoever lobs it over. They don't like throw it at you, they just lob it over, which would be considered like an easy mode. Or they could just have it stand on one of those little ball holder things and you hit it off of there. And you're sitting there going, well, which one is a little bit more appealing to you as a beginner? Is it to just or maybe to which is a little bit closer to what our normal mode is? I guess the best example of that would be like I feel like just because it's easier doesn't mean you still don't want a challenge. You just don't want to feel like you're being overwhelmed. So you still want them to try. Like an example of that would be like taking Bayonetta, for example. Take Bayonetta 1 or 2, right? And the easy mode for those games essentially just turning into, oh, the enemies just aren't as aggressive. Well, that's not really that much of an easy mode, nor is it that much of a punishment for playing easy mode. Oh, the enemies are, and to me that's just very counterintuitive in terms of the theming of the game. The game is about being attacked from all sides, from demons and angels, and the demons are over here just lumbering around like ooh, and they're just like that. To me, that it just, then you're bored. And maybe that's the punishment in itself, right? Maybe the punishment is the fact that you're fighting enemies that aren't any challenge, and the punishment is, okay, fine, you can now beat the game, but you don't really get any, there's no real sense of accomplishment. And I think maybe that's what they should do. They should make, I think for certain games, and I think actually Cuphead, that probably would have been the best example, make the game painfully easy. Because then you can still beat the game, but guess what? You get no enjoyment out of it because you're literally just standing there pressing the button. It's like, because I don't know. For me, that's my thought process. Make the game, I think if you're going to put easy modes in the game, it should inspire people to want to play the normal mode. And the best way to do that is to make it so easy that it hurts. Because then it's like, well, this is kind of fucking dumb now. But then the risk becomes, if you make it too easy like that, like I said, you might end up lowering the demographic for where you're aiming at. Like, for example, Fire Emblem. If you're aiming for a classic hardcore fan base, same thing for Cuphead, and you make an easy mode, eventually there might be too many gamers that flood the easy mode, and the hardcore gamer, and it's like, well, it doesn't even, and then it becomes a situation where, is that mode even justified in making anymore? Because it seems like 90% of the people we're getting stats from who were playing Cuphead are playing it on easy mode. Well, fuck, what's the point of making the hard mode then? Like, what's the point of making the normal mode that hard when everybody's playing on this level? And then you end up losing your hardcore fans. Or your casuals end up overflowing the market. This is part of the reason why people are concerned about Fire Emblem. And people need to understand something, because I know I've used Fire Emblem as an example, and I've heard other people use Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem's difficulty is not the same thing as like Cuphead, in the sense that Fire Emblem's difficulty, you know, classic, casual, Phoenix, lunatic. Like, if we're just going, just take classic, casual, and Phoenix, right? The only change between those three modes has nothing to do with the enemies. The enemies will still attack you and are still as, not violent, but still as aggressive as they always are. The only difference is the way the game is how you react to getting a character killed. In classic, they stay dead and they don't come back for the rest of the game. In casual, they stay dead for that battle but come back at the end of the battle, which kind of still doesn't really fix the problem. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like it still has the same feeling as classic, except it's kind of negated after the fight's over. But people's biggest problem with casual mode, for people, I mean, the people's biggest problem with classic mode wasn't the fact that, was still the whole losing your character. But if you're losing them in mid-fight, it's still a burden regardless, which I guess was their in-between. That was the trade-off. You're going to get the character back, but you're still going to have to you're going to have to learn your mistake from this battle. And people said, oh, that's still kind of hard. So they gave you Phoenix mode, which negates the whole dying in general. Like, what's the point? And it almost becomes to the point where, like, well, what's the fucking point of even killing the character? Just make it where the character can't die. What's the point of having a Phoenix mode where they get brought back to life in the next turn if it's irrelevant? If it's irrelevant, don't even bother with it. Which is why a lot of people say keep casual, but get rid of Phoenix. Because Phoenix almost seems redundant and pointless. Like, it's that whole, you don't need something too easy, because if too many people gleam onto that, and like I said, it takes time. Like for certain easy modes, it takes a good amount of time to develop, because in some cases that's like changing the entire design concept of the game. If Cuphead is designed to be difficult and these bosses are designed to have multiple different phases, an easy mode has to do something. And taking out, and honestly I don't think Cuphead's is that good. I think ironically it would have been funny, at least for Cuphead, for example, to have Cuphead's easy mode be literally the game is so easy it's boring. Because I feel like, and some people may disagree with this theory, but for me, I feel like when it comes to game difficulty, an easy mode should make you want to do better. It should either make you so hooked onto the game mechanics that you want to do better, or it should at least, or you should feel like, damn, I'm not getting as much enjoyment out of this as I thought I was. Let's try the easy mode. Let's try the normal mode. And I think at least for Cuphead, just for the irony of the game being notoriously hard, make the easy mode insanely easy, like disgustingly easy. Like where you feel like you're being, like it's almost a kid's game at that point. Because that's the other thing. It's like, how wouldn't you make Cuphead easier without breaking mechanics in the game? It's like, well, we can't give you already get unlimited shots. You already have a parry system. Like, what else can I give you that could help me? Oh, can I use multiple super moves I guess maybe that's it. I can get my super moves quicker in the game, but that still doesn't, like, that doesn't really make the game easier to it's not like someone at a lower or low tier skill gap was going to get any better at the game that way. Because all they do is just sit there as a war of attrition. Let me just game, or maybe I can get health pickups quicker. It's the same, you still got to get good at the game. Like, how much, like, and that's the biggest struggle. How do you make a mode that's easier that also isn't too easy? Like, isn't insultingly easy? And for some games, it's hard. Like, even Mario 3D World, I don't think is the best example of an easy mode. It kind of works because of the way Mario's designed. They're making the Tanuki that makes platforming a little bit easier, and enemies don't mean shit to them. I think it's fine enough, but it still won't, like, I would say most gamers' biggest problem with Mario, like the thing that kills you the most in Mario has nothing to do with the enemies half the time. Like, I would say a good 70 or 80% of the time, the reason why you die in a Mario game is because you fucked up a jump. It's because you fucked up a jump, or you fell off, or you got burned by the lava. Like, it's never the enemy that kills you, like, most of the time. Like, maybe 1 in 3 deaths, it's the enemy. Most of the time, it's usually a hazard or a bottomless pit or something. And, I don't know, I find the concept interesting. It's like, how do you make a game easy and make it still worth playing? Or make it where the player of an easy mode will want to play the normal mode? Because I don't think anybody wants to stay in the easy mode. Unless it's like a game that has a cinematic experience, in which case, like I said, I think the biggest punishment for that is that you can't enjoy, that you miss parts of the story because you're playing on easy mode. There's got to be, and some people would say, and I guess the discussion truly becomes, do you think that players should be punished in these like minuscule ways for playing in easy mode? And some people would say, no, why would they need to be punished? They're just trying to enjoy the game in their own way. But other people would say, well, you should still want to get better at the game and play it on normal. And to me, it's the same thing in life. Like the baseball example I use. Yeah, you can hit the ball off the stick, but there's no real enjoyment in it. Which is why I would say the best way you could have the best of both worlds is in some games. Certain games can't do this. Like, I feel like, eventually it'll end up lowering the interest in the game. Possibly. But maybe, I don't know how would people feel about that idea? That if you play easy mode in certain games, they're disgustingly easy. Like, make the game so easy it hurts. And for certain franchises, this won't work. Like, if you did this for like Last of Us or fucking Uncharted, games that already are so story focused, it'd be like, why is this even a game? Like, right, that's the way I look at it. It'd be like, damn, why is this even a game? Also, for Uncharted them, you would just have to take out quick time events. And like in a lot of those kind of games, how do you make the game easier? Just take out the quick time events. That's what they're gonna do in Spider-Man and God of War's easy modes. They're just gonna take out the quick time events, which is kind of a trip in my. But then again, I think quick time events are pretty cheap anyway. But that's a whole different fucking story. I don't know, but I think this is just kind of an interesting discussion. Like, easy modes in general, like how much effort should go into them? Because I know for a lot of developers, I think they just do the bare minimum. I think Cuphead, it was like literally, we're gonna do the smallest thing we can do and call it an easy mode, which maybe might be the joke in itself, that the easy mode for Cuphead isn't really easier. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear from the developers what they think. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I appreciate you for your time. Thank you for putting up with my shit. My shite. My shit, my shite. My excrement, my feces, my waste. If you come up with some other words for shit in the comments, it's great too. That's the challenge for this video. See how many ways you can say shit in the goddamn comment section. And if it's good enough, I'll thumbs up that bitch. So here. Nice again. Pay to win. And I will catch you guys later. Back in my day, we didn't have any goddamn containers. We just had to put another quarter in the arcade machine. Now get your balls up.